Welcome, gents. A lion doesn't need to roar to prove he's king. He just walks and the jungle listens. This is the kind of quiet strength the Sigma male carries. He doesn't chase power, attention, or approval, but people still turn to him when things fall apart. He was born with a mind that sees through the noise, a presence that commands without effort, and a drive that refuses to be tamed by rules that don't make sense. But here's the twist. Even though Sigma males are natural leaders, most of them hate being in charge, not because they can't handle responsibility, but because they can't stand the politics, the fake smiles, the power games, and the endless need to manage people who don't want to think for themselves. They don't want followers. They want freedom. If you're someone who feels more at home leading from the shadows, staying quiet while the room spins, refusing to compromise who you are just to fit in, you might be a Sigma male. And that's not a weakness. That's rare. That's powerful. You weren't built to bark orders. You were built to think deeply, act precisely, and move with purpose. Don't let the world convince you that leadership only exists at the front of the crowd. Some of the strongest leaders walk alone and change everything in silence. Own that. The world needs minds like yours, minds that refuse to be bought, broken, or boxed in. Let's dive in, gents. Number 1, Sigma males are more dangerous without a title. Most people think power comes from titles, ranks, or some fancy position, but Sigma males, they flip that idea on its head. Take away the title, the spotlight, the corner office, and that's when a Sigma becomes truly dangerous. Why? Because now he's unshackled. Now he's playing by his rules. A title limits him. It puts him inside a box. It comes with expectations, restrictions, and red tape. It forces him to answer to systems he doesn't respect and people he doesn't trust. But take all that away, and you awaken something powerful, a mind that no longer has to explain itself, a force that doesn't ask permission, a man who doesn't owe anyone a damn thing. Sigma males don't need recognition to prove their worth. In fact, they're usually more effective when no one sees them coming. They work in silence, move in shadows, think 5 steps ahead while everyone else is distracted by appearances. They're not bound by company politics or social approval, which means they can act fast, strike smart, and disappear just as quickly. And the most unsettling part? He doesn't care if you see what he's doing. He's not trying to impress. He's trying to execute. When he's stripped of labels and expectations, what's left is raw ability, focused, precise, and untouchable. This is why you never underestimate a Sigma male who walks away from leadership. Just because he left the title behind doesn't mean he left the power behind. In fact, he probably took all of it with him, just in a form that doesn't need a nameplate. When you can't control a man with rewards, punishments, or status, you're dealing with someone truly dangerous, because now he's led only by purpose, not pride, not perks. And when a Sigma male is free to move in silence with nothing to prove and nothing to lose, that's when he's at his most unstoppable. Number 2, his true leadership isn't seen, it's felt. You won't always spot a Sigma male in a room full of leaders. He's not the one talking the loudest, stealing the spotlight, or trying to win a crowd. In fact, he might not say much at all. But somehow, everyone feels his presence. His leadership doesn't come through noise, it comes through impact. A glance that says more than a speech, a decision made without a committee, but with absolute clarity. A silent refusal to lower his standards when everyone else is cutting corners. That's leadership, the kind that doesn't need a title or applause to prove it exists. It's not flashy, but it shifts things. People don't always realize he's leading until they look around and notice that when he moves, others follow. Not because they're told to, but because they want to. Because deep down, we're all drawn to stability, direction, and strength that doesn't need to advertise itself. The Sigma male doesn't demand respect. He earns it without even trying. He doesn't chase influence. He naturally carries it. It's the way he stands firm when things fall apart, the way he doesn't flinch under pressure, the way he makes a tough call without blinking while others hesitate. This quiet, grounded authority throws people off. They're used to leaders who need validation, who need to be seen, praised, or followed. Sigma males don't need any of that. They lead from within. And when they step in, something shifts. You feel safer, clearer, more focused. That's not charisma, it's real presence. And by the time the world catches on, it's often too late. He's already built the system, fixed the problem, or changed the direction quietly, efficiently, powerfully. The Sigma male's leadership isn't about control, it's about influence without force. He doesn't shout, he doesn't beg, he just moves, and the ripple is undeniable. Number 3, politics is a language he refuses to speak. If there's one game the Sigma male refuses to play, it's office politics. The fake smiles, the strategic flattery, the backroom deals dressed up as teamwork. He sees through it all, and frankly, it disgusts him. He's not wired to pretend he likes someone just to get ahead. He's not going to sit in a room nodding at bad ideas to avoid stepping on egos. And he sure as hell won't flatter someone who hasn't earned his respect. See, the Sigma male believes in merit over masks. He values honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. So when leadership becomes more about who you charm than what you build, he checks out. Not because he can't play the game, but because he doesn't want to. He'd rather stand alone with integrity than join a crowd wearing a fake smile. Leadership positions often require constant code switching. You're expected to be polite to people who waste your time, laugh at jokes you don't find funny, and act impressed by mediocrity just to keep the peace. That's emotional labor the Sigma male refuses to spend. He won't water himself down just to be likable. He'd rather be real and misunderstood than fake and accepted. And this isn't arrogance, it's clarity. He knows that pretending your way to power is just another form of self-betrayal. He's not going to nod at nonsense, play safe to be liked, or suck up to someone because they wear a bigger title. His self-respect won't allow it. This is why traditional leadership structures wear him out. The endless networking, politics, image curating, it's a slow death for someone who just wants to get things done the right way. So no, he's not the team player in the political sense. But if you want someone who tells the truth, holds the line, and delivers results without all the fluff, the Sigma male is your guy. Just don't expect him to play nice with the fake crowd. He's allergic to it. Number 4, he's built to lead minds, not manage people. The Sigma male wasn't made to herd people or keep things running smoothly. That's not his lane. He's not interested in managing lazy behavior, playing peacekeeper in office drama, or babysitting grown adults who can't manage their own responsibilities. That kind of work drains him fast, because truthfully, he's built different. Sigma males are wired to lead minds, not manage personalities. They're vision-driven, idea-fueled. They want to spark thought, challenge the way people see things, and push boundaries, not waste time dealing with emotional messes or corporate nonsense. If you put a Sigma in charge of a group that needs constant motivation and micromanagement, don't be surprised when he checks out. Not because he's weak, but because his mind is too powerful to be stuck doing things that kill it. He thrives in depth. He loves talking about purpose, ideas, and what's possible beyond the obvious. He's the type to say one sentence that reprograms your whole mindset. Not because he's trying to be deep, but because that's how he lives. He leads from the inside out, not the top down. And here's the truth most people won't say. Not everyone can handle that. Some people want comfort over clarity. They don't want to think. They want to be told. And the Sigma male? He has no interest in that dynamic. He doesn't do well with people who fear growth. This is why he often ends up leading quietly. From the edges, through influence, through example. He may not be the official manager, but you'll notice people gravitate toward his way of doing things. They listen when he talks. They copy his structure. That's real leadership. It moves minds, not just mouths. Sigma males don't waste their energy managing behavior. They invest it in creating something meaningful. And if others can't keep up, they're not afraid to move on alone. Because for them, leadership isn't about control. It's about awakening something deeper in those who are ready. Number 5, responsibility isn't the issue, obligation is. Here's the truth about Sigma males. They're not afraid of responsibility. In fact, they carry more weight than most people ever realize. They make hard decisions. They handle pressure. They take on what others avoid, not for glory, but because it needs to be done. But the second it becomes expected of them, that's when they start to pull away. Why? Because Sigma males don't do well with obligation. They thrive when they choose the mission, when they see a purpose and decide to give it everything they've got. But when people start assuming they'll always step up, when responsibility turns into entitlement from others, that's when the fire inside them starts to burn out. See, the Sigma doesn't mind being the one others rely on, but he refuses to be owned by that role. He'll lead a team through chaos, solve a crisis, or take the hit for someone else's mistake, but on his own terms. Not because a title says he has to. Not because someone handed him a leadership badge and now expects him to sacrifice his peace. The moment leadership turns into a job with endless obligations and emotional babysitting, he checks out mentally, not because he's lazy, but because his soul wasn't built for that kind of grind. He was built for purpose, for impact, for stepping in when it truly matters, not being tied down to every little detail just because he's the responsible one. This is the part people get wrong about Sigma males. They're not afraid of commitment. They just refuse to commit to expectations they didn't create. They'll show up powerfully, when it's real, when it matters, when there's meaning behind the moment. But the second it becomes routine, transactional, or forced, he's out. Not in anger, but in silence. Because the Sigma male doesn't serve out of duty. He serves out of alignment. And if that alignment's gone, so is he. Number 6, he leads by example, not instruction. A Sigma male isn't going to stand on a platform and shout directions. He won't give a long speech about what needs to be done, and he's not interested in playing motivational coach. Instead, he just moves. He acts. He sets the standard without ever saying it out loud, and that's the point. His leadership speaks louder through action than any words ever could. You'll notice it in the way he shows up. Disciplined, focused, self-reliant. While others are talking about what they're going to do, he's already halfway through doing it. There's no performance, no fake hype, no pressure for applause. He simply handles his business and keeps it moving, and people who get it, they follow. Not because he asked them to, but because they feel something when they watch him work. That's the difference. Sigma males don't attract followers by force. They attract by energy, by integrity, by consistency. And here's the twist. If you're someone who needs constant reminders, cheerleading, or emotional hand-holding just to stay on track, you're not his kind of tribe. He's not trying to drag people across the finish line. He's trying to build momentum that inspires movement. He doesn't believe in barking orders or micromanaging others into greatness. That's a waste of time. Real ones don't need to be told what to do. They just need to see how it's done. And the Sigma, he's the perfect blueprint. He leads in silence. Not with rules, but with results. Not by trying to impress, but by being undeniably effective. And for those paying attention, it's powerful. Because when a Sigma male walks into a space, handles what needs handling without making a scene, and walks out with dignity, that's leadership, pure, unfiltered. And it's not for everyone, but the ones who understand it, they never forget it. Number 7, structure feels like a cage. For most people, structure feels safe. Rules, routines, job descriptions, they give a sense of order. But for a Sigma male, structure feels like a cage. It's not that he's reckless or disorganized. It's that his mind works best in open space, not within tight, outdated systems that kill creativity. Most leadership roles come with manuals, spoken and unspoken rules, red tape, and a whole lot of, this is just how things are done. But that kind of thinking makes Sigma males restless. They start to suffocate when forced into boxes that were never built for them. Not because they're rebellious for the sake of rebellion, but because they see better ways. And nothing frustrates a Sigma more than having to dumb down his potential just to fit in. He doesn't want to spend his time filling out reports that no one reads, attending meetings that solve nothing, or following rules that serve no real purpose. That's not leadership, that's maintenance. And Sigma males were not made to maintain. They're built to evolve. When a Sigma male walks into a system that's too rigid, he'll try to bend it. He'll question it, poke holes in it, find smarter ways. But if the system resists change, if it demands blind obedience instead of intelligent adaptation, he'll start checking out. Quietly, of course, but completely, because he's not interested in preserving the status quo. He's interested in progress, in doing things sharper, faster, more effectively. He thrives when he can build his own rhythm and lead through his own logic, not someone else's outdated blueprint. Put simply, the more a system tries to control him, the less he's willing to give it. He needs space to move, think, and breathe. That's where his edge sharpens. That's where his power shows. So no, he doesn't hate leadership. He just refuses to lead inside a box that was never made for a mind like his. Number 8, he's a lone strategist, not a group cheerleader. The Sigma male isn't built to be the loud voice in the room, hyping up the crowd or playing team mascot. That's not where his strength lies. His real power shows up in silence, in deep thought, observation, and precise execution. While others are busy trying to be seen and heard, he's already figured out the solution everyone missed. That's just how his mind works, quiet, calculated, and 2 steps ahead. He's a strategist by nature, not a cheerleader. Put him in a quiet room with a complex problem and he'll dissect it with laser focus. But toss him into a group setting where he's expected to constantly motivate people, manage emotions, and keep morale high. That drains him fast. It's not that he doesn't care about others. It's that playing emotional coach 24/7 feels fake to him, forced. And Sigma males don't do fake. In most leadership roles, the expectation is to be loud, expressive, and emotionally available at all times. You've got to rally the troops, smile through frustration, and keep everyone happy even when the ship is sinking. But that kind of role isn't just unnatural for the Sigma, it actually chips away at who he is. He's not cold, he's focused. He leads with logic and vision, not performance. And here's the irony. People often think he's detached because he doesn't play the rah-rah leader. But the truth is, he's more committed to results than most. He just doesn't believe in wasting energy on noise. When a Sigma male leads, it's not about creating hype, it's about creating clarity. He'd rather make one solid move that changes everything than give 100 pep talks that go nowhere. So if you're looking for a leader who will jump around, give speeches, and hand out high fives, you're looking in the wrong direction. The Sigma isn't here to entertain, he's here to execute. And he does it so well, most people don't realize they've been following him until they're already halfway to where he wanted them to go. Number 9. He commands, not controls. Sigma males don't walk into a room and demand authority. They become it, without effort, without force, without even trying to take charge. That's because true command isn't something you grab with your hands. It's something you carry in your presence. And Sigma males carry it without saying a word. They don't micromanage. They don't bark orders. They don't need to. People naturally look to them in moments of confusion or chaos because something about the way they move says, I've got this. That's not control, that's command. The difference, control needs constant maintenance. It's insecure, it's loud, it depends on fear, titles, and forced loyalty. It crumbles the moment people stop obeying. But command? Command is quiet confidence. It earns trust, not demands it. It guides, not dominates. And Sigma males have mastered it. You'll rarely see a Sigma chasing leadership roles or clawing for power. Why? Because the game bores them. Control means constant involvement in other people's lives, and they'd rather be free to move on their own terms. That's why they don't care about being in charge of others. They care about being in charge of themselves. But when they do lead, it's different. People follow because they respect how the Sigma operates. He's sharp, calm under fire, and always 5 steps ahead. He doesn't try to impress. He just gets things done, and that quiet influence spreads fast. Before long, people are listening to him without even realizing it. That's the power of the Sigma male. He doesn't control people, he inspires them. He doesn't dominate rooms, he anchors them. His leadership doesn't demand attention, it commands it, not through fear, but through force of character. He's proof that the strongest kind of leadership doesn't come from chasing control, it comes from becoming someone worth following. Number 10, he doesn't want followers, he wants free thinkers. The Sigma male doesn't lead to be worshipped. He doesn't want applause, blind loyalty, or a group of people waiting for his every word. That's not leadership to him, that's ego, and he has no interest in feeding it. What he does want, to wake people up, to challenge the way they think, to get them to question, to dig deeper, to trust themselves instead of always looking outward for direction. See, most traditional leaders build their power on followers, on people who nod, agree, and depend on them for answers. But the Sigma male sees that as a trap. It creates a crowd that listens but doesn't think, follows but never questions, and that's not a tribe, that's a cage with fancy branding. He'd rather say one sentence that sparks someone's independence than deliver 100 speeches that produce nothing but obedience. To him, the best proof of leadership is when someone walks away stronger, not more attached. He's not interested in being anyone's crutch. If you're around him long enough, he'll either push you to grow or you'll walk away uncomfortable because he won't let you stay small. And that's the quiet magic of a Sigma male. He doesn't rally crowds or try to win people over. He just lives in a way that forces people to rethink everything. He leads by example, not by demand. And the ones who are paying attention, they level up. They start thinking differently. They start leading themselves. That's the ripple effect he's after. Not followers, not fans, but free thinkers. People who are no longer afraid to go their own way, just like he does. Because to the Sigma male, real leadership isn't about building an empire of dependence. It's about planting ideas in people's minds that make them unstoppable without him. Now that's power. The kind that lasts, the kind that liberates. Number 11, he fears corruption of self. The Sigma male isn't afraid of power, but he is afraid of what power can do to a person. Not in the dramatic, movie villain kind of way, but in the slow, quiet way it erodes identity. One compromise here, one fake smile there. A lie you tell yourself to keep the position. And before you know it, the person you were is gone. That's the kind of transformation a Sigma male refuses to risk. He's hyper-aware of how leadership roles, especially in today's world, can slowly chip away at a person's soul. It starts small, accepting credit you didn't earn, pretending to support something you don't believe in, silencing your instincts to maintain an image. To the world, it looks like success, but to the Sigma, it feels like death by 1,000 cuts. Authenticity isn't just a preference for him, it's a lifeline. His freedom, his clarity, his entire way of moving through the world depends on staying true to himself. So when a role, no matter how high-ranking or prestigious, demands that he edit himself, he'll walk away. No hesitation. That's why he doesn't chase power like others do. He doesn't want a crown if it comes with a script. He doesn't want influence if it means being owned. For him, the real fear isn't failure, it's losing the unfiltered version of himself in a system that rewards masks. And here's the truth most won't say. Power does change people, slowly, subtly, and often permanently. But Sigma males, they see it coming. They feel it in their gut. And instead of taking the bait, they back off. Not because they're weak, but because they're wise enough to know what's really at stake. He would rather be unknown and whole than powerful and hollow. Because once you lose yourself, no amount of status can bring you back. And he's just not willing to make that trade. Conclusion, why the Sigma male is born a leader but hates being in charge. You weren't made to follow the herd, and you were never meant to lead it in the traditional sense either. That's the paradox of being a Sigma male. You're a natural leader, but not because you crave attention or power. It's because you move differently. You think deeply, act deliberately, and carry a quiet strength that makes people stop and pay attention, even when you say nothing at all. But here's what makes you different. You don't want to control people. You want them to wake up. You don't want to be admired. You want to be understood, if at all. And the moment leadership starts feeling like a performance, an obligation, or a mask you have to wear to keep others comfortable, you'll walk away without flinching, not because you're weak, but because your loyalty is to truth, not titles. You were born with vision. You see patterns, flaws, and possibilities that most overlook. That's leadership. But the world often wraps leadership in politics, ego, and endless noise, and that's why you resist it. Because you refuse to trade your peace for power. You know what it costs to stay authentic, and you're willing to pay it, even if it means standing alone. If you've ever felt out of place in boardrooms, drained in team meetings, or uncomfortable being put on a pedestal, you're not broken. You're a Sigma male. You were built to lead from the shadows, not the spotlight. You're not here to manage people. You're here to move minds, to make impact in silence, to walk into a room and shift the energy just by being you. So stop questioning your wiring. It's not a flaw, it's your edge. The world doesn't need more loud leaders. It needs more real ones. And if you stay true to yourself, keep thinking independently, and lead by being rather than commanding, your influence will be undeniable. Not because you chased power, but because you embodied it. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.